Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Letter, where we couldn't find a gecko. So we got a lizard. We brought him back.
He says he's very good at breaking an entry. He has lots of little tools.
Yeah.
And little fingers.
Don't worry, we got this.
We're good.
All right. She's already at the side entrance, a hand raised on the card reader beside it, and another poised to push the door open when I catch up to her. Whatever doubt there has been in her face a while ago, it's gone.
Hand reader for a freaking news place? Like, what is this?
It's not even a news place. It's a realty company.
Yeah, what? Huh?
Well, you got to have good security.
What is going on out the back doors of this place?
It's a good question. Seeing her like this makes it easier to believe my worries are unfounded, that things might go smoothly this time.
And where do you think you kids are going?
Well, there goes that.
Late. Most offices in this building have already closed up shop for the weekend.
The bloke seems friendly enough, though one can't really tell from his voice alone. He might be the wary sort for all I know. Keeping an unconcerned face and an aloof air won't hurt until I figure out how to wiggle us out of this situation.
Just come back on Monday if you have important business.
But from the way Isabella's face brightens up, it looks as though getting through won't be too much of a problem. He's probably been working here for a few months already then, maybe around 4 to 6 months max. Otherwise, he would have recognized Isabella or me at first glance. I haven't shown my face here since I've been assigned to the firm case a year ago. In the first place, none of the security officers ever lasted a year in service. The longest was around 7.5. I'll give this guy around that before he gets fired or finds a better paying job. For the moment, his too friendly attitude is almost a gift.
Hey, Seb!
Oh, look who we have here. Been a few days since I last saw that ponytail in here, Santiago?
Close enough!
Wait, don't tell me yet. I'll get it right this time. Sanchez!
You were closer the first time?
Drat. I swear it is on the tip of my tongue. I just need a hint to remember.
I take it back. The geezer's not going to last past this month. He can't even remember a regular employee's name.
Alrighty, I'm sure of it this time. Centillon?
Getting colder.
Still a ways off, Seb.
Isabella, we don't have all night.
I know, just let me handle this.
Yeah,
Sorry,
shut up,
Seb.
Ash.
Some other time. We're in a bit of a hurry. I just need to get a few things from my cubicle. Important work stuff, you know? Is it okay if we drop upstairs for a sec?
Oh, absolutely. No, go right ahead. As long as you have your access card with you, we're good. Not sure if I'm allowed to let your boyfriend in, though.
Who, me?
My what?
Your boyfriend. The guy
Just
with
go
you.
with it. Just go with it.
It's a fair observation, if I do say so myself. Needless to say, the silence that descends is both uncomfortable and terribly awkward. Although the latter's probably coming mostly from me because in the next second, Isabella laughs. Laughs. Lighter than the ones I've heard from her lately, a comforting sound, really, after seeing her in such a dour mood since this morning. Even as all of it subsides into a mere chuckle sooner than I'd like. It's comforting to see that I'm at least partially responsible for it, despite my poor heart being beaten to a sorry pulp.
Oh, no. No. He's definitely not my boyfriend.
She might as well have set it on fire and reduced to dust while she's at it. Frankly, the number of no's in that sentence alone is a bit too much.
All right, Ash, we have a problem with your love life here.
no.
You're pining after a woman that used a lot of no's in that sentence.
Yeah,
and then you have another one pining after you that doesn't understand the no's in your sentence.
Basically, no one knows what they're doing. Christ, one would have been enough to get the message across. Did she really have to put it that way?
That's impossible. Stop being funny, Seb. I'll go on ahead, okay?
She quickly shuffles inside with nothing more than a small wave, leaving behind an even more awkward atmosphere for me to wade through. It would have been bearable if I didn't have to suffer through a stranger's amusement. Alas, woe is me.
Not the boyfriend, but close to it, huh?
Mind your own business.
Kids these days.
Wow.
Good to see her up and about, though. Thought for sure she'd up and disappear like the others.
Excuse me?
You know, stuff in the news.
You mean what happened with Rose Cooper?
If I'm going to be stuck here with him for a while, I might as well try to gather as much intel as I can. He may just be a guard, someone with no real authority, but most of the time, people like him are the ones who know more than they let on. There we go.
Yeah,
Detective
but
work.
even before that, we've got a couple of good blokes we never saw again.
Really? Those guys could have just resigned for all you know.
Dunno, I only catch tidbits of stuff from over here. Though seriously, I heard the branch is getting flushed soon, but that's no excuse for anarchy. Figures why Boss Man's been in an awful temper these past months.
They managed to strike a good deal with the mansion in Ansem, right? That didn't do the trick?
Didn't seem like it. The bloke shouting like no tomorrow again. Wasn't very pleased when Gurley called and asked for another leave yesterday afternoon.
Girly? Isabella?
It's not too surprising considering she's already been gone for 3 days. Now she's asking for another. Not that that's a bad thing. It's within her rights as an employee, but Isabella rarely uses her work leaves.
Yeah, poor Lassie if you ask me. She found him a buyer for that mansion after all. The least he could do is be considerate to her after a family member's passing.
Wait, what?
The rumors, BRC, Rose Cooper, missing in action employees, all of it ceases to matter in that instant. Almost on instinct, my eyes zero in on the intercom speaker, as if staring daggers at it will show me the man behind the voice so I can see the truth in his face myself.
You don't know?
No, what?
Nothing. I shouldn't be the one you're asking, and, you know, things might get a bit boring here. No one really wants to hear what a poor old
either she
guard
made up a
wants to say.
fake person's death or did her dad die?
I'm wondering. I don't think so. It didn't seem like it as far as we had played. But yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see as we
Well,
go.
why don't you just go after her? As long as you're not looking to create trouble for me, it won't be a problem. You aren't here for that, right?
I'm a cop,
Well,
dude.
you know. He's lucky I'm not here to hurt anyone. If I were someone with ill intentions, he might not be smiling at the end of the day.
Well, no, but...
I'll go and unlock that side entrance for you then. Just don't forget to turn off the lights before you both leave, okay?
Hey, wait a second. What do you mean by...
He cuts off the connection before I can finish, and the rest of my question dies in my throat. Soon the latch clicks and the side door swings open. Seb, a stout man wearing uniform still too loose for him, waves me over from the gap before he disappears behind his station again. Just my luck. Here I thought I'm going to have to count on whatever Isabella brings me with her. Although no matter how much I want to feel happy, something else has already taken a firm seat in the forefront of my mind. Is that why she's been acting not like herself today? Since when? Of course, as I step into the building, I try to push all these questions as far down as I can. I need to focus. Work is work. But if what I heard is exactly what I think it is, if it's a sign of things to come, honestly, I don't feel too good about that. It's a quiet ride up to the 7th floor where the BRC Luxborn main office is. Seb has been kind enough to switch the guest elevator's power on just as I'm about to head for the fire exit stairs, which is a welcome relief. I'm an active guy, but stairs, I don't want to tire out too quickly in case things get ugly.
Aren't you a detective? Don't
Yeah.
you run from things? Or run at things? Or catch things? Or have squirrels chasing you for your trail mix?
Those crafty squirrels, man. There probably won't be any trouble with the building this quiet, but you never know. I swear the whole place definitely feels eerie at this time of night. But until I've confirmed anything, those are still just stories. Worse things can happen, no need to scare myself. Staying calm means fewer mistakes.
Do you have this feeling when this door opens, she's gonna be standing there?
Oh no.
Oh, I sure am fucking gutsy, especially with what I'm doing.
I'm breaking a lot of laws here. I'm also putting Isabella on a lot of risks. Best thing that can come out of this, Isabella's right all along. Worst case scenario, 1, someone finds out Isabella's involvement in this and her boss fires her. 2, I find evidence that would implicate BRC or Luke Wright in a crime, and my meddling, if I'm not careful enough, makes it inadmissible in court. Though, I'll be honest, I strongly prefer losing my job or facing Wright over some spirit or ghost or whatever it is. I could always work around the problem with the former. Isabella could also find a better job. BRC never did pay her properly, despite her efforts. But fighting off a phantom? How does one even do that? Do guns even work with them?
Yeah, not
Have you
going to
watched
happen.
Ghostbusters?
Yeah. You need the proton pack.
Yep.
But tonight I'm here to fix things. If I do it without leaving a trail, all the better. Good thing that's what I'm good at. Okay. Achievement unlocked, easy way in.
We buttered up the security guard.
Yeah. What I'll probably never be good at is finding the proper words when a sitch calls for it. But seeing Isabella's small form beyond those doors, how she pushes through despite carrying an entirely different burden this time, how she's pretending as if everything's normal, it's difficult not to try. People who have never looked beyond her smiles will never know, will never understand. Hell, even Rebecca's probably not aware of this yet. I get it. We have other problems at hand. I've done the same thing plenty of times to protect myself after all.
I keep looking at you because I'm like, it's coming.
I'm like,
it's coming.
like, what is happening?
I'm just like, it's behind the desk.
No,
Okay.
I don't want it. I'm ready. I got my hands on the keyboard just in case. But it's all in her eyes once she glances up at the few light raps I give the door. She wastes no time in leaving the mess of papers on the table and opening it for me, though even in her confusion as she takes in my presence barely hides it.
Seb, let you in?
Okay,
Oh, I'm
there we
just
go.
that smooth.
Yeah. The rough edge in her voice rings a whole different tune now that I'm aware why. But knowing is different from hearing it straight from her. I can't simply bring this up, can I? It's not a topic suited for casual conversation, and I doubt she wants to talk to me about it. As much as I want to help, there's a distance between us I'll never be able to cross, one that wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for me. Perhaps if I had been more honest years ago and less of a coward, I might have been able to. Figures I couldn't even do that for the one person I keep telling myself that I care deeply about.
What can I say? I'm a very charming person.
To a rock, maybe.
This is the closest we can get to it, I suppose. The light banter, the fleeting glances, or sometimes the long bouts of silence. And it's enough. For me it is. Because even without words, there's comfort. And with her, it's easy.
Must be a pretty cool rock then.
Ugh, get over yourself.
Hey now, I deserve some slack here. Today's supposed to be my day off, and yet here I am helping you out.
Helping. By standing at the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That helps.
I had to distract the security guard.
Yeah.
Well, you're not exactly letting me in.
Despite what she says, she moves to block me when I try to enter. She must have expected this the second we walked up to the building's entrance and counted on the night shift guard to bar me from this place. It's reassuring to know she's somehow worried about me, although it's a bit misplaced at the moment. Besides, her concerns aside, I really can't let her get into the thick of things without me, not with all the problems on her plate right now.
Isabella,
Seriously, Ash. Seb might get in trouble for this. You might get in even bigger trouble with your boss.
and you're not? We've already talked about this back at Zach's. It's out of the question.
At least do it for Seb, please. He's a really nice guy. With the way things are going here, he's...
On that, I agree with her. Seb's not such a bad fellow, maybe a little careless with his job and talks too much, but he means well. I hate to see the guy leave here with a bad record in case something goes wrong. However, the anxious look she shoots back the table behind her brings an even bigger worry.
Did you find something? Aside from what you told me about yesterday?
Not yet. I'm not sure. I haven't started going through the files we have in the records room. Just the ones they handed to me in rows.
Let me see.
Wait, Ash!
Isabella, I already promised you that no one's going to get in trouble after we're done here. Even Sep. I'll make sure we leave the place clean.
Her hesitation's still there, a split second of indecision as she tries to form an argument. Eventually, when nothing comes to mind, she steps aside.
Okay, but we can't take the original files out of this office, clear? Not even a single sheet. We'll just have to make a copy.
Don't worry, that's the plan.
It appears to reassure her, a nod, then shortly she gestures for me to follow. Passing the sea of cubicles, I can't help but take in everything in their office, a force of habit for the most part. As far as I know, BRC Luxborn used to own this whole building. Offices in several floors once upon a time when real estate is still a lucrative business for the company in this side of the country. Then competition showed up and suddenly everything's not so good anymore. It only got worse as the years went by, or so according to the rumors. I'm wondering if that's going to play a factor into things.
I think so.
That they're like going under.
Yeah.
Now the branch is just this floor, despite what the huge sign in the building's facade says, and frankly, it's not too hard to believe when one looks at the state of this room right now. A number of desks have been cleared out. Personal mementos are scarce as if employees have gone on an exodus.
They probably all think they're gonna get the boot, so they're taking everything home.
Yeah, that'll be the downsizing, probably. Still worrisome, though.
Or they died in.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, man, is sending people to that mansion to sell it their way of like having to get out of pay severance?
Oh my god. That's what this is.
That would be the most like, I guess, like boring reason for a psychological horror murder.
Business corruption, man.
Yeah, trying to get out of paying severance by sending a ghost after people. It's like the worst movie ever. Of course, I shake away all of this when Isabella starts handing me the papers she's been looking through. Focus, Frey. There's no point in whining or dwelling on it any longer. That's why we're here in the first place, to find out what the real deal is the old-fashioned way. Isabella's presence is a whole other blessing, too. I couldn't imagine how long this would take if I pushed going in here alone.
Is this everything? Where are the documents you mentioned?
Still locked up in the records room. Do you need them now?
Bring them here. Everything that has to do with the mansion's sale. Even those who worked on it during the renovations. The cleanup. Everything. Including your mandatory sign-in sheets.
It's an odd thing to bring up, but at least it elicits a laugh from her before she heads for the records room. She remembers. And no matter how weak the sound of it is from her usual ones, it's a welcome thing to hear. It reminds me that the Isabella I know is still in there. She returns minutes later with a thick stack of folders and binders. For the next half an hour, we work in complete silence while we dig into everything compiled in the folders. Not an easy task considering how thick the whole thing is, but there's two of us. In fact, Isabella does most of the work, sorting the contracts, the employee list, the stuff we won't need into a neat pile. Just the files for the restoration alone makes up a stack of papers that's an inch thick. Third-party service providers hired for the masonry, radiators, woodworking, plasterwork, slate roofing, and a whole bunch of other things are well documented. Hell, every single contractor who worked on the project were listed individually, even if they were just there to do the plumbing. It's a high profile and high cost estate, alright. But with that scope comes the loopholes. Means plenty of room to hide something in if there's something fishy going on. All I have to do is find a pattern. And it doesn't take long. Upon closer glance, despite the original owners shouldering the renovation costs, it'll be surprising if they've managed to break even on the Ermengarde mansion. What with the additional expenses for the open house, the commission for their agents, and their other overhead fees, at one point the negotiations to get it listed under BRC's name almost broke down too. Some disagreement about the listing price. The owners wanted to be rid of it as quickly as possible while keeping the worth at a profitable level. BRC was insisting on a higher amount, double what the appraiser suggested.
Oh, so the owners wanted to get rid of it and didn't care as long as they made something.
Yeah.
And BRC's like, why would you sell this thing for this when you could actually, like, double your money?
Well, it sounds like the appraisers were saying, no, this is what you should sell it for.
Yeah.
This, plus the rumor that their branch is closing. BRC Luxborn really is in the red, and the sale of the mansion could have easily been a desperate move to keep the branch afloat.
No wonder the final sale happened as fast as it did. Did you know about this?
No, they took it off our hands after I submitted the final documents for the sale. I didn't even know until I read this. I'm not sure if Rose did. I've only been given the key to the records room after she... Anyway, my point is, they've kept all the files from me. Rose was the one who compiled everything from our side. And even then, she was probably not aware of this. There's only so much they let us know. After that, they just told us to wait for our commission, and that the legal team would handle the rest. The rumors are true, huh?
Seems so.
Sheesh, this place is just unlucky. Going bankrupt while the rest of this crap is happening? But this isn't what we're looking for. What we need is the who, the people aside from Isabella and Cooper involved in this business with the mansion and how they are now. We can't do much with the outside contractors, they won't be on file. The employee list, on the other hand, even with 2 people working through the pile, the whole task still takes quite a while. It's a quarter of an hour later when we put down the papers with a sigh and move on to the clients upon Isabella's insistence. For that, the sign-in form from the open house comes in handy.
Anna Wright, Luke Wright, Richard Frank, Osaya?
Osaya.
Sorry, didn't see the I there. Ashley, Charles, Mercy, Lauren, Madeline,
Beatrice. Okay.
reading last names too.
Something that gives me a laugh when I spy the fake name I wrote on one of the sheets.
Oh, God.
Ashley. Ha.
Why'd I even pick this name? It sounds so lame.
What name?
Nothing important. Just focus on those papers you have. We need to finish this soon, before Seb suspects anything.
She snatches the paper away before the thought of hiding it occurs to me. Not that there's much secret in it. Isabel found me that afternoon anyway, but still.
Lee?
I've been careless that day, tailing Luke Wright without confirming where they were headed off to. While the butler's terribly efficient in keeping the Wright's engagements from public eye, there are other ways, if only I've given it the time of day. In retrospect, I've been too eager, too impatient to find something that'll crack the case and be done with it. Maybe my failure goes as far back as the day of the open house, not during the party last night.
Yeah, well, I was pressed for time.
Seriously? Ashley? Were you even trying?
Oh, come on. You didn't even notice I was the one who wrote it down.
Of course I wouldn't. Only an idiot would use his real name.
It worked, though. Admit it. It's genius. Who would have thought, huh?
She responds with a roll of her eyes, then drops the matter entirely by shoving the paper back to my hands. We lapse back to our respective tasks afterwards, wordlessly skimming through everything. Read, set aside, get another one. Read, set aside, get another one. Looking back at the sign-in sheet, I spot Luke Wright and Hannah Wright listed up top. Not that I don't know them already, of course, but scanning through the lists, a name immediately comes to my attention.
Which one?
Madeline Williams.
I don't remember that name.
Something wrong?
Huh? No, just that I remember this girl listed here.
She frowns, moves her seat closer, and takes a careful read at the sheet. There's a long moment before she speaks up again, but from the way she tenses, she appears to be expecting the worst already.
What about her?
She was with me, in the group following Cooper, when we toured the upstairs part of the mansion, I mean. Rather loud one, especially when we took a peek into the attic. Kept talking about the ghost stories the whole tour.
Then, Do you? Do you think she's...
She was reported missing 3 days after.
Ooh.
There's a ruckus at the precinct the day her family filed it. Threats were naturally given at the lack of progress days later, desperate ones. Her family's willing to shell out all the cash they have just to find her, to no avail, unfortunately. Officer Benjamin has been in a bad mood ever since he spoke with them, but what can he do?
Is she in the basement?
What can we do? Oh.
I'm wondering if anyone that has disappeared is in the basement.
Right, yeah, like not the people who are dead. Well, or they could be dead
Or
somewhere.
they could be dead somewhere, but it seems like she's making it very public, the people that die. I mean, they did them in their houses.
Yeah. It could just be convenience.
Yeah, but I'm also wondering if it's like the Marianne thing where she ended up from the cellar into that weird dungeony thing.
Yeah. He's tied. We're all tied. There's only so much we're able to do with everything that has been shoved into our hands recently.
She still hasn't been found. It's already been a week.
Isabella makes no further comment aside from a nod. Instead, she sits back on her chair with a distant look in her eyes, her hands balling into a fist as she struggles with her frustration? Or maybe it's anger. But the moment doesn't last too long. Soon her grip loosens and she folds her hands back on her lap. Her expression, however, it's one I've seen too many times in the mirror. What does one say to a person burdened not by one loss but many, who carries it in her shoulders like a badge of shame? I've yet to find the answer to that myself. Until then, the only way is forward. Press on to see where our attempts at fixing our mistakes might lead us. And despite my own doubts, a glimpse of that look on her face is enough reason for me. I can't just give up. There's too much at stake, too much to lose. With a renewed focus, I continue. On the third and last sheet, I spot another one. Beatrice Wilde, one I recall from the newspaper obituaries.
Ooh.
We'll just have to find out more about that in the next episode. All right, that's going to do it for us, as always. Huh?
Lots of dead people.
There are lots of dead people. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.